sports fans? Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
We go, ladies and gentlemen. Thankful for all of you on a thankful week of Thanksgiving, wherever and however you may be watching and listening on the Snake Sports Talk Show. Thanks for making us part of your evening here on Denver, Colorado. We got a great one here for you tonight because we got a lot of NFL action to talk about, plus two special guests. First one, former major leaguer, first baseman, outfielder, Logan Morrison is going to be joining us. And then also, former NBA guard, Chris Childs is going to be joining us, talking Knicks, talking the NBA. We got so much. We don't even talk hardly about the NBA, which we want to change that up here tonight. So lots of great stuff. Glad to have all of you here tonight. So first of all, lots to really talk about, but I want to start with this that I thought which was exciting in the NFL last night. And it was actually like right in the afternoon game before the night game against the Rams. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I keep saying it and I'm going to continue to say it. If you are a Dallas fan today, good for you. This looks really good from Dallas. And a lot of this had dealt with Dak, more in particular. So Dak Prescott, once again, putting the Cowboys up and onto his back. And the rest of them, George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, they all have played great. And by the way, what great adversity that you could see from Dak. And the fact of the matter was, they looked like they were dead in the water by the close to like the end of this game. And then it wasn't until after the half when you're down 21-0, and then you basically, it's funny, they both finished up the same way that they started. They finished it up both ways, 24-21, and the Cowboys got the last laugh. I think it's incredible. And I also do think, like with Dak Prescott, because he had to do any and everything that he could to keep his team up and into a competition. So he had 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, and then he had a rushing touchdown. But he was 23 of 36, 354 passing yards, and a passer rating of 103. Dak Prescott is your franchise quarterback. And what's funny about it is that oftentimes we feel like Jerry Jones doesn't often look at that way. But I think after yesterday, it was clear. And Dallas, you can rest assured, you're not going to hear about quarterback talks for quite a long time. I'm serious. I think with the way that it's worked out for the Cowboys in the end is that Dak had to do what was necessary. And Dak, he did it. And the one big thing about what the Cowboys had lacked for quite a long time is that there was structure, stabilization, but I think a lot of that has come to rest. And so in my opinion, when I look at this with Dak Prescott, in my opinion, is what is the living and breathing air, is what the Cowboys needed. And they got it. And the Cowboys now, the only thing they can look forward to is that by next year, because they have addressed a lot of things, as far as their defensive front, they've addressed that. They can rest assured now that they're not going to have any problems up and into their up front on defense with Kenny Clark, and now also with Quinnen Williams there in the front. Like, this Cowboys team now is walking in with 2 first-round picks, and they're walking in to potentially get 5 if they trade them away. And that's fine. You'll need a corner. You'll need a safety. You'll need an edge rusher. You'll be needing to work that defense. This looks good for the Cowboys. So I'm not going to sit and just basically say that the Cowboys aren't exactly into the better position, because they are. And the Cowboys now, people are going to realize come next year and come a couple more years down the road, the Cowboys will be the pain in the butt in the NFC. You're going to realize it. They got the picks. They got the players. George Pickens looks like an absolute hit. Dak Prescott looks rejuvenated. The Cowboys are feeling themselves. Now, again, if you want to think the Cowboys are going to make it into the playoffs, it's not that simple. But that's okay if they don't, because initially they're going to have the money. They're going to have the stuff. They're going to get the players. That's all that you're going to need. So I felt good for the Cowboys there yesterday. All right. So, so the Rams, I think it's safe to say the LA Rams and Matthew Stafford, it's just an unbelievable team. I mean, that's about as honest as you can say it. The Rams right now with Matthew Stafford, and Stafford is having an MVP caliber season himself. I think if there were 2 players, 2 of them that I would pick today, it's Stafford and Jonathan Taylor. Those are the 2 players, arguably, who have held the utmost importance for their team. Stafford last night, 25 of 35, 3 tutties, no picks, a passer rating of 122. And Stafford this year has thrown 30 touchdowns and 2 picks. Don't tell me that's not MVP worthy. And one of the big things that I've noticed about the Rams is that they've overcome a lot of adversity, and they are utilizing a lot of their youth. A lot of their youngsters in the front, and then even with the corners, they look really good. And Sean McVay continues to hold down the fort as far as a strong culture. Sean McVay is a risk taker. He's not afraid to take risks. He took a chance on Matt Stafford, trading away Jared Goff, who he went to a Super Bowl with. Took a chance on him, won a Super Bowl. Took a chance at trading away a bunch of picks to go and get players. And it's worked out. They took a chance on Devontae Adams. He scores twice last night. And the Rams have 2 number 1 receivers. It's not even close. So they're basically in the category of what the Cincinnati Bengals were the last couple of years with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But I'll be honest, Devontae Adams, he's got the hands, still can score. Puka Nacua doesn't even have to do too much. I think the weight's really carried off. And what's funny about this is that the Rams went all in knowing that this could be Stafford's last hurrah. But McVay and Les Snead, they all knew that. So even with this game tonight, with the Panthers and the 49ers, your 2 NFC West teams, the Seahawks and the Rams, are going to be the teams that are going to be threatening in the NFC. There's no question about that. But as far as the AFC goes, I'll take my take up on this one, but I think it's a legitimate argument that the Rams are probably going to end up being a team that you should not even be surprised of that can represent in a Super Bowl. Stafford is having an unbelievable season, and he's overcame a lot. And yet with all the weapons, with a decent offensive line that has been able to protect, Kyron Williams running the football, that's really done a lot for them. It really has. And I think for the Rams, moving forward, now they have a couple of really good matchups going to be coming up in the remainder of the season, but the Rams are in great shape. And a lot of teams right now you're starting to see is they're getting shaken up by injuries. They are losing their consistency themselves with as far as offensively and defensively. That's been an issue. So once again, the Rams are reminding people this culture is strong. And all it takes is for someone like Sean McVay to get it right. And he has, and he is, and he does. That's the biggest part of this. So for Stafford, it really is working. And for the rest of them, it's working out a lot too. So, I'm excited. And I think one of the things that what makes a great team, and I think also what makes it even greater, is the fact that they can overcome a lot of those adversities and not feel like they're so far behind. They won't ever have to feel that. So I just am so happy for what the Rams have looked. They're the healthiest that they've been. And at the same time, they face an awful lot of adversities. They just made it work. And so to me, I think the Rams, it's a legitimate case that they may be a Super Bowl contending team, but that's all done by McVay and company. All right, good stuff. Logan Morrison around the corner here in just about 5 minutes. There's a lot of stuff that we really have to discuss because, so I was mentioning about this while talking about the Rams, because Rams and Seahawks are the two teams in the NFC that I can legitimately say they are a very tough opponent. Okay, even if you sprinkled in some Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, a lot of these other teams in the NFC. But the AFC, there's only one team now in particular that I would be afraid of that's getting red hot, that has really adjusted up their defense. And at the same time, whether you truthfully believe it or not, with just the health and the status of their quarterback, this AFC team is making a legitimate argument for themselves. That's coming up next. And also, we got 2 coordinators fired already. So, and we'll discuss about one of them because this just has to be a constant reminder of this organization, period. That's coming up next as well. All righty, folks. Well, the season's Thanksgiving. It's a ton of all of you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving this week. And for all of us, for our best prices, especially for Black Friday sales, okay? Payday Fantasy is there for you during Black Friday, especially when you got Thursday games on Thanksgiving. You got a Black Friday deal going on with the Black Friday game and all the rest. But there are amazing deals, and especially for your go-to fantasy player prop app. That's on your Google Play and App Store on your mobile device. Payday Fantasy is there for you in every contest and in every pick'em. Whatever the player you decide is going to end up going off or may just end up falling short, that's where Payday Fantasy is there for you. Payday Fantasy, you sign up, free $5 entry, also with 100% deposit matchup of up to $100 by using the code SNAKE, and the link is in the description as well for where you need to go to sign up, get the free entry, and also end up getting your deposit in for the deposit matchup of up to $100. That's the best way that you can celebrate the Thanksgiving season. And that's also the best way you can enjoy the fun and all the action of what goes on Payday Fantasy. Check it out for yourself. Sign up, pick the player, pick the outcome, sit back and relax and get paid with Payday Fantasy today.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Welcome back here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. Enjoying the thankful week of Thanksgiving, of course, to you and your family, wherever you may be. Got a lot of stuff to break down. We've had a great few minutes that we've talked about on NFL, but we're transitioning up and into the Major League Baseball because lots of stuff, lots of activity we're not even talking a whole lot about. But again, I love watching the last game of the World Series, exciting, a classic. And then at the same time, the winter meetings, off season, lots to go on. And then also the new contract deal that the Major League Baseball has signed up with their streaming services. To talk more about that, former MLB, 11 years in the league, first baseman, outfielder, loved watching him during my time in middle school and high school, playing up as a youngster in high school ball. Logan Morrison joins us here on the podcast. I got to tell you, the game itself has really evolved and it's changed so much, Logan, that, we got automated strike zones. We got, pitch timing, and even in the batter's counts, a lot has really sped up and changed the game. And living here in Denver, Colorado, going into Colorado Rocky games, I loved enjoying going to a game that doesn't have to take me more than 3 hours, especially on a Tuesday night. So seeing a lot of these drastic changes, and then even from when you were playing in your playing time, Logan, what has really impressed you a lot about this league? Because it's only going to continue to get better from here.
Yeah, I think most of the changes you're talking about, I was, when they were first imposing the rules, I was kind of against, but it's worked out very well. And with the batter's clock, the pitcher's clock, speeds it up a lot, and I think it's been great for the game. It's definitely helped for bringing revenue and eyes to the game. I think the sponsors really was trying to drive MLB to stay under 3.5 hours as average game time, and for whatever number, for whatever reason, those are the numbers that meant that we were going to start making more money. So that's what's happened there. They did a good job, and I think you gotta have to remind me on the second part of that question.
Yeah, no problem. Just basically with where we're moving forward into the future, because a lot of these youngster talents, the game's going to be constantly evolving, and the more and more we continue to see a lot of these young talents, and a lot of it's, a lot of it took adjustment. A lot of it too had to kind of take of, for pitching, for example. I used to love watching the old schools where starters, you give me about 70, 80 pitches up from there, give me 7 innings at least. And then you go and tap into your bullpen. That's changed up a lot. And I think a lot of that had to deal with, availability, different types of, workouts, and just kind of keeping your body in the best shape. So that's kind of what I looked at from here.
I think some of it too is the analytics say that the starting pitching shouldn't go through the order 3 times. Numbers starting to go up from there. So I think a lot of that plays into it, and they were able to. I don't know if they still are. I know they changed some rules recently, but they were able to send relief pitchers up and down all the time. So it was easier for them to cycle relief pitchers in and out, and they figured that would be the best way to go about it.
So looking back at this World Series, because I think it was just fantastic the way that it began and then the way that it ended. Now, a lot of people will tell you, the Dodgers winning the World Series back to back. But I think a lot of it is that there were guys that were playing and they executed in the right spots and at the right time. And it wasn't even a whole lot about Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, he's the big stud. But when you get guys like Miguel Rojas and Will Smith, even when you look back at your career, when you're the guy that's I need to contribute any and every way that I can, whether it's defense, offensively, getting us in good position. What did you make of that in that last game? Because that was just thrilling the way that thing ended.
Well, I think there's so much attention paid to the big stars in the lineup, especially. It's all right, this is how we got to get these guys out, and they either do that or you get walked, and then they go after the other guys. So it's up to the other guys to kind of be the heroes or the zeros in that situation. So that's why you do have the Rojas's and guys like that stepping up and hitting, getting big hits, big homers. And I think a lot of the talk that I've heard is oh, it's baseball's a dynasty, or they're gonna have dynasties now because the Dodgers spend whatever kind of money they want, and it's like, man, a couple of plays could have decided that differently, and the Blue Jays could have won it very easily. So I think there's more parity than what people want to think. Just because there's the first time back to back since the Yankees, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think about this with the Toronto Blue Jays is I think they have a very good group. Now I know the hardest part is that you're dealing with, Bo Bichette, who just rejected an offer. He's going to end up testing the market. But I mean, my big thing is like anything up in postseason. If you come in there where you got guys that are red hot in your lineup from top to bottom, you also come in with strong pitching because bullpen is a man's best friend. And especially when you got really good starters that even if they can't give you a full length seven, you go out there, you're a manager, and you're like, give me at least 5, give me at least 6. We'll see what goes from there. Then you can tap into the bullpen, and it's a game of chess at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I felt like, with the Blue Jays, I totally get the excruciating feeling of when there's plays that became errors and just times where you get in your own head. When you're up and on that side, it's the worst feeling, but a ton of times it's what shapes you too, like as a player moving into the next season of this is now what we've learned. This is where we got to end up going into the next season.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to get back to the World Series 2 years in a row. I mean, I don't know how many times that's happened, but they do have a good group. Hopefully, they keep it together. Um, so many factors that factor into that. The injuries and all that kind of stuff. The reason I think that the Dodgers do a good job of are going to be in that spot a lot is because they do have a higher payroll, but they save their horses for the postseason. As long as we can get through the season healthy and we're ready to go, I think that's where they separate themselves, and that's why I think they make a lot of deep runs now.
I'll tell you, I mean, I thought it was a fun postseason altogether as a whole. And you played for this very organization, but the Seattle Mariners, I feel for them, man. Like I really do
Yeah,
feel for a lot of
yeah,
these fans because I'm like, you're so close. And I mean, listen, I was a young kid watching the 2001 Mariners when they won 116. And I'm like, Griffey, Buhner, and Edgar Martinez. Seattle was popping up and at that time. And then just to see them get into the championship again with Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez, I mean, Seattle is a very loyal and a very grand fan base. They love their team. I think it was just a heartbreaker to end the way it did, but I don't think it's something that for Seattle fans, they got to really have their heads down for very long. It was kind of like, we're so close there, but if we can just get maybe one more, then we
yeah,
may have a shot to represent the American League in the World Series.
yeah. I mean, they've been on the right track. They definitely been on the up. Hopefully, they can keep it going. I don't know much. I don't know what their contract situations look like, but I think their starting pitching should be pretty decent for the following year. Um, but and anytime you have good starting pitching, that'll carry you through and can get you a lot of places. But yeah, I mean, if they can, keep it together, maybe add a piece or two and see. I think Suarez he's probably not back. So they
Yeah.
need a third baseman.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you got a stud like Cal Raleigh and a stud in Julio Rodriguez, and you build around the middle. That defense is pretty good. Crawford is short, so I think they're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think so too. I was interested in this because so you started with this organization when it was Florida, then became Miami. And, you know, I look at South Beach and lots of things are happening well for them. I mean, you got the Bucks that play competitively, they got a Super Bowl. I mean, we could talk about the Lightning and the Panthers all day and like how they've been really the main focal point of the hockey realm. But, we've watched, Tampa get into the World Series, even in a short year and during 2020. But Miami, it's like, I remember watching that the whole timeline where it was like they have the talent, they have the guys, but then for some reason, there's always some sort of shakeup. Now, this
Yeah,
team slowly I think was getting a little better because there were some changes in the front offices. But even when you were there, tell me a lot about that experience, because even when I watch this team now, I want to see some more interesting. If we're watching, small market teams fight, make their case to compete, like this team, they needed some sort of go around for quite a while. And I think it's slowly getting there. It's just not quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's changed hands so many times since I've been there. But when I was there, it was, I just happy to be in the big leagues and love playing the game. I didn't really know much about, analytics and the numbers at that point. I don't think many people did. And, um, I know the Marlins were definitely later on that scale to kind of totally embrace the analytics. So I don't know if that's some of the reasons why they had struggled to acquire talent, know who to go after, know who not to go after, those kind of things. Not sure, but um, I from a personal player's perspective, I had a great time playing there, and there's a lot of things to do. So I guess the fans kind of get sidetracked a bunch, but hey, it's part of being in a touristy town. You gotta play well for the guys that come out, for the fans to come out.
I had a feeling for you because it was like you played up in Miami and then you played in Tampa. I'm like, man, Logan just feels a lot like a Florida guy. It's
Yeah,
just like the scenery. I get it. Beach season 24/7. I mean, I've been in Miami and Jacksonville
yeah,
before in the past, and like it's such a beautiful weather that time of year, and just enjoying the beaches.
yeah. I live in Jupiter, Florida now, so still a Florida guy. It's where the spring training for the Marlins were. I mean, that's from the Midwest originally, so you come down here in the off season, you don't want to leave. So it's especially, I mean, where you gonna go get your baseball stuff down in South Florida in December,
Mhm.
or up in Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was an easy choice for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're always popping during the spring training, especially when you got the Grapefruit League. And so that's always a fun time to be at. A final question before we let you go. This was one that I was so curious of, because I do have a friend of mine that I played high school ball with that is now playing in the pros. He was originally with Pittsburgh, now with Detroit. But I meant to ask him this because people fans have been harping about this, about the salary cap, because you're watching the Dodgers and what they're doing with the whole like deferred comp. I mean, I work in a government sector, and understanding about deferred comp is the stuff I'm going to put away later, and after 30 years I can come back to it, and then it's just, it's consistent. They found a way to, in ways, to kind of manipulate it, but doing it smartly when you got guys in the front offices who understand statistics and numbers. So when you think about, I talk about these small market teams like Pittsburgh, Washington, and like a lot of them who can honestly get up into the same page. And as a Vegas native myself, before I came into Colorado, I am curious what the A's are going to look like by the time that stadium's done in 28, 29. So is it necessary for a salary cap, or is this just kind of something that the fans got to harp at their owners to spend the money more? Because this has been a constant back and forth headbutting between fans and owners.
Yeah, I mean, my point of view is that the deferred money is really nothing new, because Shohei wanted so much of it deferred. It's probably more of the reason for the gripe here, and he's, one of the best athletes we've ever seen. It brings more attention to it, but it's been around forever. A lot of teams can do it. I think mm, it's if you have a cap, you're gonna have to have a floor, and I don't really know the answer to it. But I think more than anything, the bigger gripes or the bigger things we need to worry about is having those other teams to try to compete. It's like, you want Paul Skeens on a team that's in the race. Like,
Yeah.
that's good for baseball, not
Mhm.
where they have no chance from day one. It's like,
Mhm.
people are going to say, well, Pittsburgh doesn't have enough money. Well, they've been one of the most profitable organizations in the big leagues. I think it was the last time I looked at the numbers, they were like the third most profitable organization in the big leagues,
Mhm.
and they've been running their that way for a long time in business, and it's the owner's prerogative. It's the owner's prerogative, but I mean, in my opinion, that's where the game needs to change. We need to at least give the fan base some hope. Um, and I don't know what that looks like either, but I don't know if it's a floor. I don't know if it's a cap. I don't know if it's a hey, just spend money, guys. Like, you guys aren't even trying. So, I
Yeah.
think that would help a lot.
I mean, tell me about it. I hear it from Rockies fans out here all the time when they talk about Dig Montfort. And then it's like, Coors Field is such a beautiful field. Now, it may not
Yeah.
translate the same for pitchers, but it's a beautiful field. I love the sunsets at night. And then it's like, the people are wonderful.
Yeah,
They'll come out there.
I went out there after I retired and watched the game, and man, it was like, shoot, like you don't because you're not like really paying attention to it like that as a player. You're kind of locked in
Yeah.
on the game. But yeah, when the sun's set and you're like, holy crap, this is pretty.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean there. And then I remember what I was gonna say that first question you had is about the game times out in Colorado. Before they
Yeah.
sped it up, you could get a lot in Colorado for 4 hours and 30 minutes on a Tuesday night. Those games go forever out there because it's just 15-10 sometimes, it's something
Yeah.
like that. So and it does take a little longer.
Oh man. And like I said, that is just well worthwhile. I mean, I've grown up baseball in my blood from like my family and just watching the games. And I mean, I grew up listening to Vince Scully all the time. And then I'm watching all of like the nostalgic, like even watching you play. I've watched every one of these players and I'm like, my goodness, to be able to like talk about it, reminisce, and just bring back nostalgic memories, man, is like, that's what you
Yeah.
gotta love baseball. It's so rich that way.
Yeah, it's a romantic sport for sure, I think.
Yeah,
Dad playing with his son, that kind of thing. Yeah, for sure.
absolutely. Well, Logan, appreciate you for taking the time to come up onto the show, man. Enjoy the Thanksgiving to you and your family, my
Yeah.
friend, and enjoying the beautiful weather up out there. We'll definitely talk soon, but it's going to be a busy, busy winter meetings this up and coming go around. So I'm interested to see what moves will be around the corner.
No doubt. Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right, so we're shifting on to the NBA. It's going to be a lot of fun. And listen, we just got started. So there's already some shakeups and some moves. And so, again, I'm loving a lot of the teams that we're seeing getting competitive and are working their way to getting competitive. And so to join us talking a lot about it, because I loved watching with what New York has been playing and where they're going. And it's just interesting in the NBA. So to join us, Chris Childs here on the program. To say, Chris, the league itself, which we know with Adam Silver and the way that he has structurized it, and what we saw from this past final is we saw two small market teams from Indiana and Oklahoma City. Of course, it ain't like bigger TV like if you got an LA or a New York or a Boston, but it was classic because of the fact that we had two gridiron teams there that like were playing competitively. And then in the end, Oklahoma City, they come out of this thing on top. What are we expecting about this season? Because New York, they got fire in the bellies. Philadelphia wants to make a statement themselves. So it's like a lot of these other teams are just kind of spurring up from the ground. But I think a lot of that is just Adam Silver having a parity type of structure for a lot of these NBA teams.
Yeah, you have to give them a lot of credit. A lot of people didn't want to see two small market teams in the finals. A lot of times that's not marketable sometimes, and they expect something different. But those two teams showed that regardless of the market they were in, the president, the GM, put together a team that can go out there and compete against anyone. It kind of reminds me of back in the day when the Oakland A's were winning with Billy Bull.
Yeah.
Just getting role players to come in and play. Yeah, you got your superstars, but you need those other guys to complement each other. And that's what they were able to do. I was at Game 5 in New York when we came back and won that game, and I hadn't been to a game in 25 years, so I was excited. But I knew it was going to be a tough hill to climb because they expended so much energy in Game 5. It was going to be tough to go to Indiana and win Game 6. So, those two teams put on a show. I hate that Halliburton got hurt.
Yeah.
I think it would have gave them a better chance, but Oklahoma City played unbelievable basketball, and now they're not such a small market because a lot of those guys got paid a lot of money.
Yeah, and man, what a beautiful reward it is for these players. And it's so good to see like the Midwest teams are making a statement for themselves. I mean, the Pacers for so long, I mean, we watched, the Jalen Rose and the Reggie Millers and, and then to come all the way down to Halliburton and this speedy Pacers team. And then the Thunder, I mean, it felt like it was yesterday when we had KD and James Harden and all these guys. And it was like, man, now I got SGA and Chet Holmgren. So I just think the more and more I watch this with the NBA, because I loved watching it at a time back then in the 2000s and even in the late 90s where we had like two guys. There were two guys you relied on, and the rest of them was all roster construction and coaching.
And you're absolutely right. And especially the era that I played in, other than the Chicago Bulls, who had a four-headed monster at times. Most teams had two, but then when we brought in Spree, even when I signed and Larry and Allen signed, it wasn't the same because it was still Patrick, but they were still trying to put pieces around him to get us over the hump. But you need three guys that are capable of taking over a game. Two, it all depends on who those players are. When you had LeBron and Kyrie, they were able to do it with some role players, but you're talking about two of the top 75 players to ever put on a uniform. So that's an exception. But for everybody else in the league, with the way that OKC is constructed, how Philly try to construct their team, how good is that rookie? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sensational.
I mean, just the poise that he plays with and the pace and his patience on the offensive end. And then him be able to play passing lanes like he does defensively as a rookie is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really is. When you think about, because I've been in New York about 6 times in my life. And, I've had family that live up and on the island. And I've had ever yet to actually catch a game, whether hockey or basketball at MSG. Like I have yet to actually see the amazing roaring New York crowd as usual. It's classic. But watching the Knicks, and even when I saw this last year, I felt like there was a bit of some attitude that came back into this team, which was like, this is great for the NBA. You get a little more attitude in New York, and the Knicks are interesting. That's good for basketball. Now, the way in which it ended, which, Tibbs getting fired, they got to figure out a coach. They come in, and now the expectation is, and now it's a little bit tougher because we know, like, teams in the East, like, there's opportunities for teams to step things up. But I look at this roster, and I love Jalen Brunson. I really do. And then you got OG Anunoby. To me, with Karl Anthony Towns, sometimes he gets me feeling a certain type of way because I know he can score, but it's like defensively, it's like, bruh, I need to stop. Be a pain in the butt up and in the middle where you got to be able to get the ball back. So when you look at this Knicks team, I mean, it's going to be a long journey road. But do you feel like with this team, there is something there that we can say, this team, they've learned from what they got last year, and they're going to be coming in. They're going to be coming in with some more fire in their bellies coming to playoffs.
Well, once you get a taste of it and you see the how the city responded to that team, you can see the energy of the guys that they fed off the fans. Because the team was interesting now. They were winning. They were doing things and playing the style of play that fans enjoy watching now. With Karl Anthony Towns, yes, he can score, but it's the way you score it. To be that size, get us in the bonus early. Get us some fouls down low, get some of the big guys, the shot blockers, get them out the game. And now, if you're not hitting your threes, you can go in the post. But it seems like if he's not hitting his threes, the rest of his game doesn't elevate. And
Yeah.
so hopefully over the summer he did some soul searching, looked at some film, and pick the spots and see where you can score
Yeah.
in parts of the game, because they're pushing the ball up and down. But find the ways that you can help us get in the bonus early, and it's going to make you a little more comfortable because you see the ball go in the basket. Once you see the
Right.
ball go in the basket, now everything else becomes bigger.
Mhm.
But I didn't like the firing of Tibbs because he was my coach, my
Mhm.
defensive coach when I was there. I know Mike Brown, seen him coach. I I'm still wait and see attitude because it's still early, but I
Mhm.
like the makeup of the team. I think we're missing one more long range shooter. Uh,
Yes.
maybe maybe a 6'7" wing that can stroke it, from
Mhm.
three. And I think that'll complement and take some more pressure off the Jalen, that he doesn't have to do it all every game. So I think we're
Totally
missing
agree.
one more shooter.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think this team, they get that, they'll be in great shape, and I think that's ultimately what we've always wanted with, allowing Jalen Brunson to do his stuff, but then not have to feel like that the Knicks have to lean on him a lot heavier than what they should, because that's where a lot of the expendability of the team itself comes into play. Um, I talked about this. I had Matt Babcock, an NBA draft analyst, here about a couple, about a month and a half ago at best. And I talked about the Philadelphia 76ers. One of the biggest things to me is that Joel Embiid, I can just see it, Chris. The knees are just not the same.
Yeah.
However, I I'm like, finally, they are figuring out it's not just Joel Embiid that they have to be able to build a lot of their core around. Tyrese Maxey's the star. Now, Jerry McCain, hopefully they can get something right, but I still have a good belief in him. But that kid that they got, VJ Edgecombe, that kid's already looking like he is a future star and he just fits Philadelphia very well. When should we start to see that with Philadelphia? Because this is a team in which I just looked at Daryl Morey and I'm like, finally, you are understanding this after how long with this whole process? And now they're getting the gears rolling for these guys.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I know Mike Babcock from years playing against them, but the 76, I think Joel Embiid finally figured out that he doesn't have to shoot all the threes.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing I'm talking about with Towns. Find a way that you can fit these two stars that you have. If you get your team in the bonus early, that opens up the whole floor. They're not going to protect the basket no more. That's going to let these speed racers get up and down the court, get in the paint.
Yep.
If they get into the paint, put pressure on the defense. Now, Embiid, if you want to step out and shoot that shot, that's a better shot. But if we're coming down on a fast break and we kick it back to you and you stop at the 3-point line, we're not putting pressure. So usually last year, and I looked at a couple of games, they weren't getting into the bonus until almost midway through the second quarter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And you can't have that. You have to shoot free throws in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. You got to get in the bonus early. And
Mhm.
so if he does that, that team is going to be incredible because they have length, they have defenders that can guard the ball, and they have a big guy that nobody can stop when he puts his mind to it.
I agree. Yeah,
So if we
they
get,
got it.
yeah, they have the makeup, and I think they're one more post player away. Not sure if they got they have the one guy that played in the Olympics, the French guy,
Hmm.
but he's not a consistent scorer he's a hustle player.
Right.
That's going to get you extra rebounds. But I think if they can find another 6'9", 6'10" low post presence that can give you 12 and 5 a night, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Oh yeah. No,
So
it's a big difference maker. Um, Firing two quick questions up here for you. So I've grown up as a kid watching the Lakers. I mean, watching Shaq and watching Kobe and watching Phil themselves, and even watching the documentary of Winning Times. This a lot has changed up in Los Angeles, and honestly, Chris, I'm loving this
mm,
because it's what the Laker way was meant to be, because it shaped up to where you watch the rivalry between LA and Boston, and then it still got into that way. But then it's like, what are the Lakers' identity now? Like past these guys and watching LeBron and such. Watching this front office that now is the same owners that own the Dodgers. They've got Shohei as their superstar. And you watch the shift now with the LeBron business and said, listen, Luka is our star. We are going to build around him. And we know that international stars, the pool is only going to get bigger. I'm still harping a lot for our domestic stars to step up to the plate and show like, hey, this is our sport in our country, and yet we love it globally. But we got to be able to stand tall for our league. So when you think about the Lakers, we know the biggest biggest chase is we are title town. We got to be that way. We can't just be a laughing stock circus for the next few years. We got to be able to do this now. So to see the shifts that they're doing, it's kind of giving me a little bit of some nostalgic vibes. Like, are the Lakers feeling kind of back at this point?
Well, I mean, of course, they should feel that way. They're finally putting basketball minds in the front office that are able to make basketball decisions that is best suited for the players that you have around. Now, when LeBron was a guy, he was able to pick players that he wanted to play with that will complement his game, and vice versa. Now with Luka being there and being a primary ball handler, scorer, and doing everything, and you have the other kid Reed. I forget the other kid's name, but they have the makeup of a team, because out west you can put LeBron at center.
Yeah.
You know, you can put him point center, however you want to arrange it, and
Yeah.
they can go out there and compete against the Golden States and the Sacramentos, and I don't know. I mean, they can compete against San Antonio with Wemby, because he plays out on the perimeter a lot of the time too. Another unbelievably talented young player. But the Lakers, like I said, they have basketball minds now. They have a basketball mindset that the winning way that the old Lakers is you have to win. If you don't win, there's no way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you gotta have you have to have both of them. So
Yeah.
they just have good basketball minds. That's another city that is, if you're playing well and you're winning, they're gonna support you. If you're not, they're gonna let you know. So hopefully, what we're seeing will continue. Won't really know until after the All-Star break with the make of everything that's going on. But what I see right now, I love the tempo. I think defensively they have to get better.
Yes.
Yeah, they have to take on us and play defense, especially in the fourth quarter, because they're giving up leads a lot in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes to go, and you can't do that against the great teams in that conference.
I agree. Final question for you before letting you go. I've noticed this change in the NBA where I love the fact that it is global. I absolutely love it. There's talent everywhere, no matter where you put your hand at when you're picking these players and finding talents to shape up your roster with your starting five and then up and on the bench. But this international pool, Chris, has really grown a lot bigger than even in the era that you played in. And so when you think of the Jokic's, the Lukas and Giannis and a lot of them, and they're coming, like they're all coming out here. And even when you're watching Şengün in Houston, like they got their guy. And then you go ahead and mix up some of the complementary players that match around him. So I just am like this. If only the NBA and Adam Silver, if them and college hoops can get into a great, strong relationship like I watched the NFL in college, because you got guys that are getting drafted that are day one starters, and they're making this 53-man roster. But when I watch basketball, we are slowly getting there. But I'm getting to a point where, like, if I want to learn about this player, I want to get to know them. And we watch that a lot when you got guys from Duke and North Carolina and your Villanovas and a lot of them. When you look at some of the smaller schools, I'm not going to bash them for it, but it's just, you have a great player. You're trying to shape your your program, but it's hard to compete that way when you got a lot of these bigger programs with the money, the NIL, and just they're going and getting these studs. But I'd love to see a lot more of just our domestic stars just stepping to the plate, taking ground, and not only just appreciating the fact that the league is global, but it's like, I want to be able to see a lot of our domestic stars and be fans and because I got to know them up and in college.
Right. And like you said, the NIL deals, the transfer portal, all that stuff is kind of damaging the game, because you might see a player on one team one year and then he's at another school because they're offering, he had a good year and they're offering to pay him money like he's a free agent.
Yeah.
And that kind of hampers the game. And domestically, when I played in that era when you had Sabonis and all Dirk and Drazen Petrovic and all these great European players, we took offense to that.
Yeah.
Like, we would make you pay. Like, you're not just going to come here and take over the sport that we, give our life to every day.
Right.
Those guys over there, they can turn pro at 13, 14, 15, make money. So they're comfortable. So they're not struggling. They're not mentally having bad games. Well, they have bad games, but mentally they're not worried about it because you're getting paid.
Right.
We weren't getting paid. In the CBA, I was making $500 a week before taxes with 2 kids. So that's the difference of the hunger and the opportunity to just play scot-free because you don't have those worries or those responsibilities.
Right.
And so as American players, we have to step up. We have to work on our game more. We can't just be one-dimensional now. You have to be three-dimensional, almost four-dimensional.
Yep.
But you have to be a student of the game. I don't see a lot of these players today that are students because I watch games and I'm like, I can't believe he didn't see that 3 plays before.
Yeah.
And these European players are coming over here with high basketball IQs and they're patient. They don't get rushed. They have a great pace to their game. They don't let other defenders rush them. But we just want to go one speed. And you don't become, it's like I use baseball analogy.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan was an unbelievable pitcher. Threw fastball, fastball. But he didn't become great until he was able to change speeds. In basketball, you can be as fast as you want. Allen Iverson, he didn't become great until he learned how to change speeds.
Yeah.
So as I watch these European players, they don't get rushed. They take their time. They get you on their hips and they keep you there. And then either you're going to foul them or you have to commit and they'll make the right play.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what we need to get back to, as being students of the game, learning where and how to get your points, how to get your teammates involved, and then just start taking it personal that these guys come over here and kick your butt.
Totally agree. If we get more of that, man, wouldn't the NBA just be exciting as hell every single year when we're just ready for tip off all the way to the finals? So, of course, in the seasons of giving, you got a fantastic foundation, and especially for a lot of the youngsters and the kids. Tell us more about that for our audiences here, how they can contribute and, helping a lot of these kids out in the seasons of giving, especially when, we got Christmas right up and around the corner, and always a great gift to have for a kid who loves the game and wants to learn more about the game. And even for some that they just love enjoying the season itself and just getting to kind of know, the fundamentals.
Well, a lot of times with this game that I love it with a passion still. Don't play anymore, but I love teaching. And the one thing that really got me involved is you can tell a kid something and it'll register sometimes it won't. But if they can actually touch it, then it has a different effect. So when I say that, it means that I played in the NBA for almost 11 years. Me sitting down with these kids and going over what this game means to me asking them questions about what does the game mean to you, and it's my responsibility to put you in the best position possible to be successful at whatever level you want to be successful at. But
Yeah.
we talk about that basketball wise, but we also talk about life. That my father had always told me, rest in peace. He said, when you leave the house, you're always auditioning for somebody. Somebody's watching you. So be the best version of yourself, because that's what they're going to remember. So I instill these in the kids that I teach the game of basketball, that I mentor, even if I see them around the street. I can feel their energy, so I know if I can approach them and talk to them, or if their energy is off, I won't. But most of the times, kids are acceptable to getting knowledge about life, getting knowledge about school, getting knowledge about the game of basketball, getting knowledge about the game of baseball. And in order for that to happen, you have to carry yourself a certain way so that you get your blessings. And that's what all I try to do is instill in them and give them hope.
Yeah. It's the greatest gift, and it's the best feeling that any kid and any family can honestly have, and especially in the days of giving as well. Like I always say, this is any time that people sit in the table that we eat at, everybody eats. Everybody gets an opportunity to sit, to learn, and even just enjoying just the comfortability, and even just being there, and just because that's all it is it's wrapping your arms around them and guidance,
Right,
and,
right.
and that's the most important thing. And so yeah, a lot of these kids, I think about every single one of them. Like, we go to our local church, and we have a lot of our outreaches and operations that we do with, as far as reaching out, gifting to a kid, and then feeding a lot of the needed families that are out there that don't even get to enjoy a Thanksgiving like a lot of us do. And so
Right.
it's the most amazing feeling. And that's the one thing we always love to spread and to support and to really help these families.
If we get back to loving one another, you saying the word love, yes sir, no sir,
Mm-hmm.
being polite to people. It takes too much work to be angry and be mad and be nasty to people. It's
Amen to that.
just start loving one another, man. Hey, how you doing today? I love you.
Yeah.
It's that doesn't cost you anything. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And you
Mhm.
never know how it affects someone because you don't know what they're going through during their day.
Yeah.
And I remember I was at the airport and I was checking my bags and I asked the guy if he had some change. He said no. And I asked the other guy, he had some change. He had change for 100. And I gave this guy kept $20. And he said, are you serious? I said, yeah. He said, man, thank you so much, because I only had $2 in my pocket.
Mm.
I didn't know what I was going to eat. And so I gave him another 20. I said, well, hopefully this helps you today and tomorrow. And thank you. But that, to see the look on his face and how happy it was, that's what this life is all about, man. Just start giving back and being nice to people. And watch how your blessings are just right there in your face from doing stuff like that. Because it doesn't take a lot.
No, 100%. All it takes is one act of random kindness at a time. That's the
Absolutely.
most important thing. Chris, appreciate you and thank you for taking the time to come up and on here, sharing your expertise. And yes, a lot of people definitely check it out, guys, because it's a great cause, and it's a lot of fun. And for a lot of the kids, especially around in the area, you want to learn more about basketball and you want to learn more about life, definitely check it out for yourselves. It's a great cause. Chris, appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Enjoy it, and we will definitely see you around the corner while the rest of the season is still underway, and we're just only getting started.
Thank you. And they can reach me at goldenchilds@gmail.com, and then I'll guide them to where they need to get to talk to me personally. And congratulations to you, man, on having your child. I'll pray for you and your family that you have a healthy boy or girl. Do you know what it is?
Yep, it's a healthy boy. Yep,
There you
and
go.
it's funny because we got the room already set up, the nursery's ready. Now it's the waiting game. We're just ready to roll.
Right. All you got to do is get the cocoa butter and rub her stomach, man. You good.
That's right. Well, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the positive words, man. And we'll definitely see you soon. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too, man. Take care.
Absolutely. There you go. You got to love the seasons of giving. It's the most amazing feeling in the world. And you just, you never know. You never know whose day that you can honestly make. And whether it's an outreach, whether it's just taking a short amount of time or just inviting somebody on your table, that is always the biggest thing that we need to remind ourselves, and in the end, really create it. Like, just continue to spread the love. It's Thanksgiving for a reason. And listen, we would never understand Christmas unless we understood Thanksgiving. Remember that. A lot of people at times, and it makes me kind of smile in a funny way, because I'm kind of like, everybody wants to just jump over and just go in Christmas mode. We got the trees, we got the all that stuff. But I'm just like, well, what about the stuff that's more important? The thankfulness of it, the gratitude. That's the most important thing. All right. What a great show. Logan Morrison and Chris Childs. Man, we absolutely hit the home run up and on it. So I wanted to talk about this because this was definitely one that broke out earlier today. And the Raiders have fired Chip Kelly. We know that the Giants ended up firing Shane Bowen, the DC, and we know that they're obviously on an interim coach, Mike Kafka. So one of the things that I thought which was interesting is that the Raiders, for so long and in the last few years, when are they going to start being a structurized organization again? I never understood that. And in my opinion, I look at this from a standpoint of that the Raiders just need to get right with themselves from top to bottom. I don't care what it is. You just have to be able to have the right coach, have the right pieces. And I'm going to be honest with you. Chip Kelly, in my opinion, should have stayed in college. Okay, there are many college jobs that are opening. Now, would I say that he's competent for like an LSU or a Penn State job? I don't know. Penn State might be a fighting chance, but everybody's all looking for something different. They want a different offensive identity. They have a very good, they've been known to be physical. They've been known to be in the trenches. They need something different than this. And that's one of the biggest arguments here when you think about with coaches and coordinators. So the minute Pete Carroll got hired with the Raiders, and I don't even know if this relationship is going to last, because the Raiders now are going to be on the brink of elimination. They're going to be done. I did not see them be this bad. I thought they would have been competitive, but unfortunately, it took a different toll from there. And it's unfortunate with the way that this has gone by, because they've always known to be a team in which you get the right moves, you get the right coaches, and even for players and talent, no, they ain't got that either. And that's hard. So the Raiders just need to have a come to Jesus moment with themselves, because Mark Davis is not working. The Raider way continues to get into the way. No matter how many times you say it doesn't, it is. And I don't think Pete Carroll is going to last up in this. And I thought for sure Pete Carroll had at least a year in which he stepped away from, had an opportunity, and yet didn't even take advantage of it. And even when you got Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton and Andy Reid, like, this Raiders team is nowhere even close. And you got Max Crosby. So what do the Raiders got to do? In my opinion, you got to go and get a quarterback, because after what you just watched right there yesterday with Shedeur Sanders, and we'll talk about that here in the back end, but Shedeur looked really good. And I think Cleveland has an argument for themselves. I think you can work with this. You can make it work. And because the way in which it's looked like, how it's described, and how it often gives you this, it gives you this sense, it gives you this kind of look. That's why the Raiders have to find a way to get competitive, and they have to find a way in which they'll be better. But it's not going to look like this. Certainly is not going to look like this. So the Raiders in the AFC and even in the AFC West, you cannot afford to have that. You really can't. So what do they got to do better? I'm not blaming this on the GM Spidek. I'm not doing that. I think Spidek, he's new in this. And remember, this is also the same organization that was okay in letting go of Tom Telesco after 1 year. They let go of Antonio Pierce, and they've gone through coaches and quarterbacks like diapers. So if Spidek can rebound and can make the right hire, then maybe the Raiders have a fighting chance. But they also, here's the other thing too, they've accumulated a lot of money. So they got money to spend. But the problem is, who wants to come into a dysfunctional organization? I wouldn't. And I've lived in Las Vegas my entirety of my life before going into Colorado. And I can tell you this much, this is not entirely the type of team that you would think the Raiders would end up looking like this. Not even close. So they have to think of something because this is bad. And Chip Kelly, here's the thing. Time has flown on by with him. It's not the same schemes. It's not even efficient play on offense. This is bad on all cylinders. I don't know how they even have to work this, but that's just my opinion up from there. Gino is already like he's throwing birds at everybody. It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all for them whatsoever. Just not a great feeling. So the time has come in Cleveland. And I know a lot of people don't even want to admit it. And some people think this is just a little winter flame, whatever you want to call it. Shedeur Sanders is here. And he's going to be starting against the 49ers next week. Now, many people are skeptical of it because they feel like, well, the 49ers are a little bit more physical. They figured out a little bit of their defense without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. So the 49ers right now, they are a team in which they're trying to figure out their identity as much as they possibly can. They're overly adjusting, and they're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. And at the same time, they are trying to get something out of it. Because we know quarterback changes has been a big thing all season long with Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy, he's good. He's good, but this has been difficult. It's been an utmost difficult season for them. But it doesn't mean that they're completely out of it. Now, Cleveland, this has been the conversation we have been talking about for an awful lot of time, is they needed a franchise quarterback. Who are you going to have? And I think Shedeur buys you a bit of time. If you don't think that Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion, if you don't think that he can honestly manage up that Cleveland roster with the way that it's looked, and even with Dylan Gabriel, like cleared up on concussion protocols, Shedeur to me can stretch the field more than Dylan Gabriel. I'm sorry, but Dylan is limited like Tua. Okay, you could throw the ball fast. He could throw it at least a little bit more than 20 plus yards at occasions, but can't stretch the field more than that. And I know a lot of people want to have an underdog story, but the truth and the reality is that it can't happen. It can't happen. I mean, you're watching the difference is Michael Penix is dealing with a coordinator issue. He's dealing with a lot of confusion. And I think that's what's the hardest part. Now, for Shedeur, it's just a lot of media talk. It's a lot of it. So what if you feel some type of way when he flashes out the whole watch thing that he does? So what? What do the Browns have left to lose? By the way, I didn't understand Kevin Stefanski not giving the game ball to a quarterback that when he had his first official start broke a record that hadn't been broken since 1999 for any Cleveland quarterback. I would have felt like a proud parent there, but because you got to think he's coming into an unfortunate situation with Dylan Gabriel and concussion protocols, and he just helped win a game. Yeah, it's the Raiders, but still, he made it happen. So I'm excited to see what he does against San Francisco. Hopefully brings me a little bit more clarity, but there were some throws. There were some throws that I really liked. I mean, the one that got coughed up and that became a fumble, it happens. But that was a beautiful throw. So, yeah, lots to look forward to. All right, what a great night we've had, and it's only just the beginning of it before we go into our long Thanksgiving break. Tune in for us tomorrow as Celeste Williams, former defensive tackle for the Denver Broncos, football team championship tomorrow night. It was a lot of fun talking with him and breaking down what the Broncos have been looking like, what we should expect, and further and beyond. Appreciate all of our guests. Logan Morrison, Chris Childs, what great guests that we had here tonight. Appreciate both of them for coming on by. Enjoy the rest of the night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. Take care, everyone.